the recognition towards him is enormous. It is obviously, like I told before, it's like a luxury to have him. But I also know that he has different options, and he's a big name overall in the world. And I think in the upcoming days we'll have a good solution. We had a few days off. We came back into training, so now I think it gets to a point that we start the formal conversation. And before throwing anything out, which would be, I think, adventurous, I'd rather sit down and have a conversation as we agreed upon.
Guillermo said it might take like 1 to 2 weeks before you finally make that decision.
Yes, and I think with a player of his stature and his pedigree and what he represents to us, we need to be very formal and very respectful to that, and sit down and see what, obviously, where he's at in his career and his personal life, and evaluate the best for everybody.
There's some thought that perhaps you guys don't want Ibra back, that it's time to take the next step in the evolution of this club and find a younger forward, maybe a more mobile forward, someone who maybe fits with what you guys want to do going forward.
No, we're not moving forward until we really sit down with him and see where he is at. I think a player of his stature and of his impact in both the league and both our club deserves all the respect in the world to first sit down with him and see where he is at.
If he wants to come back, you guys want him back.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't want Ibra?
But, I mean, it is a big decision, because if he doesn't come back, you have a DP spot and $7 million that comes off the payroll.
But more a DP spot.
That's more important.
Well, and with that DP spot, Pavone, wouldn't he be filling that DP spot?
Yes, well, this year our DP spots were filled by Ibra, Alessandrini, and Jonathan Dos Santos. So next year, obviously, there's going to be some changes. There's going to be not only change in the DP spot, but in the entire roster with all the rules and regulations that you guys know a lot more of than I do. There's always a lot of changes.
Is there any kind of, we have a plan if Ibra comes back, we have a B plan if Ibra doesn't come back?
No, I think what we plan is not only based on him. It's based on the entire club and where we want to be and how we want to move forward. I think one of the challenges for us to move forward is to create a more recognizable style and a more recognizable identity to how we play. And in the end, he scored an enormous amount of goals. He's reached great heights with us and with other clubs, and I think that deserves a conversation with him.
Jorgen made $1 million last year and didn't dress at the end of the season. Is it fair to think that he might not be back next season?
Yeah, I think as you know, that what you have on the field is very much tied into your salary caps. Now, to go into individual players, I think it wouldn't be fair. It's more something for the coach. But for us, it's obviously very, very important that players that earn a certain amount of money that deliver.
Do you expect a lot of changes during this offseason?
Well, we have a certain amount of options to take. We have a certain amount of loans to discuss and assess and continue or not continue. And I think there will be some changes within our roster, yes.
What kind of status do you see for Roman Alessandrini?
Well, as you know, Roman is a very, very good player. In his first 2 years, he delivered tremendously to the Galaxy. Now, this year has been very unfortunate with an incident injury, if I'm correct, against Salt Lake here at home. And it's obviously difficult for everybody, for him first and foremost, and second for the team and the coaching staff and the organization to have a player that has so much talent but not being able to play.
Well, you could be in a situation next year. If Ibra comes back, Pavone goes to a DP slot. That gives you 4 DPs with Alessandrini, so you'd have to deal with that.
Well, you have a lot of strategies that we have to go through.
Well, I mean, but that is
those
one of
are the
strategies
rules,
that,
yeah. And there's more strategies and there's
Yeah.
more ideas and based on I think what you do is first you assess where you're at, and you assess where your season has been, and if it lived up to the expectations. I think that there's a lot of positives, but I think there's also a whole lot of things that we need to improve upon. And for us to get into the playoffs and have a good result against Minnesota, that is a big positive. Now, to end our aspirations and all the illusion that the fans had in the semifinals, I think for next year that we need to be ambitious and we need to hopefully surpass that. And obviously, I think the club needs a lot of work on a lot of things, and one of the things is the roster, and the roster implies rules and regulations and DP slots and TAM and everything that has to be assessed, and it's difficult to obviously go into detail in a couple of minutes here.
Is it difficult to do that, knowing that they have the labor agreement coming up and all of those potential changes to build a roster?
Well, there's always, if there's like an insecurity or there's something that comes up, I think the best thing is to work with how the current rules are, and now to think of what might happen or think of what might go on. I think with the CBA coming up, I think and I think there will be a lot of positives going for the players. And in the end, will mean a lot of positives also for different clubs, obviously. But before to go there and to see and judge what it now actually takes to change things, I think it'd be very hard. We're now working and thinking as if the current rules would be in existence, and I think that's the most realistic thing you can do. Now, if something changes, we'll act upon.